clicking past, ain't feeling his hymn. Waiting for the moment, blow up like a piston. Haters gonna hate, but persistence gonna glisten. Hold tight, 20 turn 200 someday. Laugh in their face, shouting, who wants some pay? Barber Show.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What up, Twitch? What up, PETA? What up, T Minus? The GOAT? What up, Sean? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy. It's your boy. It's your boy. Ow. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you who to sock it to. It's your boy. Do what you want to do. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Friday morning. In as much as you can. Personally, right? Privately, like within your own space, right? Like within your immediate reach, all that kind of stuff. I understand things are interesting. I would definitely prefer things to be less interesting. I could go for a nice month of boring. Anybody else? Like where nothing happens, right? Like everything is dull and we're just kind of hanging out. That'd be cool. That'd be super cool. Yeah. So job will be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war. Ribbons, 7 months. Thank you, homie. I appreciate you. Also, good morning. Friday the 13th, happy Hockey Mask Day. Dr. Yasmin referred to it as Pride Day because it's Pride Month, so Pride Day the 13th. Job interview went well. Now it's in the hands of the probabilities. It's going to take a bit of time. They're not exactly sure because it has to do like assuming that they decide they want to hire me for the job. It still has to go through HR, and HR took a bunch of time at getting the job listed so that I could even apply and all that other good stuff. So it's now in the hands of the probabilities. We're on fire and forget time, and we'll see what happens. But assuming that I do get the job, it'd still be a couple of weeks before the job starts. So at this point in time, we're going to continue as if, right? Like we're just going to roll and keep the regular schedule, and I will let you know when things change. I talked about y'all, right? Not specifically any of y'all, but like there's a thing called bar, right? Also known as star. And basically what it is as opposed to an interview where like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? Like, and how do you consider yourself an asset to the company and all that kind of horseshit. Nice, T minus. Basically you tell a little story, right? And they give you a scenario. Like one of them is what's an example of a time when a customer wanted something that you weren't able to provide right away? And an example I chose was how sometimes someone will come into chat and they will want their thing, whatever their thing is, attended to right away, right? They want, and it's seeing that, validating the fact that the question was asked, addressing the person so that they understand that their, request is important and valued. But then also letting them know that, we might not be able to get to that today, or, it might happen on another day or something like that. And apparently streaming is something that gave me the skills necessary to have a good interview at this place. So we'll see how it works. We'll see where we go from there. Schedule wise, next week should be relatively normal, other than Friday. Friday there will be a morning stream. There won't be an evening stream. I have a thing I'm attending to over the weekend, and I will not be streaming Friday evening. And also not Monday morning. But other than that, no one believes I have a life. Well, fair enough. I tell a good story, though, right? Like the story of Globus, right? Like he's definitely not doing stuff outside of Twitch, because that's not how that works. You only Twitch. How you doing, old lobster? Yeah, so without further ado, it's enough about me. Let's talk about me. I just power down. This is all fake. Have you ever tried to play a board game with cats, James? You think the chess pigeon is bad? You should see the cats playing board games. What up, Pharaoh? They always win, right? They're having a hell of a time. You might not be. Yeah, let's do some fucking news. Disney, Universal launch AI legal battle, sue Midjourney over copyright claims. This is brand new. This just happened 2 days ago. What up, Cosmic? We actually just started, Cosmic, so you missed nothing other than me talking about me. Yeah, no, it went well, Pharaoh. It went well. Now it's in the hands of the probabilities, and I told everyone that it'd be, if I get the job, it'd still be like a couple of weeks before anything changes to stream. So now we move on. Piracy is piracy, says Disney's chief legal officer, who totally doesn't understand the irony of taking things that are in the public domain and then making a movie out of them and then using that movie as leverage to prevent other people from using an IP. As the studios aim to show that tools allowing personalized AI slop creations of characters like Darth Vader or Shrek run afoul of their IP. No. Again, because my Magic AI pencil has the capability of violating many IPs. It is the user, me, who decides whether or not I am going to violate IPs. It's not the tool. The tool, if I say AI pencil, draw a picture of the mouse, it did not. In the next chapter of Big Entertainment versus Big Tech, Disney and Universal have filed a lawsuit against artificial intelligence company Midjourney over tools that allow users to create images and videos that can manipulate famous characters at the click of a prompt. Sort of. The lawsuit, filed in U.S. District Court in Los Angeles, how's that go for you, on Wednesday by Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm, 20th Century, Universal City Studios, and DreamWorks, describes the David Holtz-run generative AI firm Midjourney as a bottomless pit of plagiarism. Oh, what up, Ghost? We elect Ghost for president and then they immediately resign. One executive order and out. Again, the idea that companies like Disney, what up, Minnie? Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm, probably all of them, can refer to anyone else as a bottomless pit of plagiarism. I mean, fucking George Lucas literally told us where all it's an homage though, right? It's an homage when a human does it within the framework. It's not plagiarism. It's just sparkling homage. Is it real? I saw the tweet. Old Lobster. I just wasn't sure if it was real, and I'm not letting people get my hopes up. You know what I mean? What you say should be stacked up against gun versus gun owner argument. Why? Can I use AI to shoot someone in the head, Cosmic? Because otherwise, it's not the same fucking thing. Eh. Cool. No, fair. I'm in the firmly in the camp. I don't give a shit. I am fully in fuck that site for numerous reasons, old lobster. Um I am firmly in the camp of just make whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. You want to make the 13th iteration of, Hamlet? Well, on one hand you might end up with fucking, some total piece of garbage. And on the other hand, you might end up with the Northman, right? So I don't care. Make it all. Make as much as you possibly can. Give me 50 million Marvel movies a fucking year. I do not care. What up, Andy? Yeah, and it's Mel Brooks. I'm still waiting for History of the World Part 2. I was told there would be a History of the World Part 2. The you'll have to talk to my manager. The legal salvo marks the first major foray from Hollywood against tech giants that are hoping to reorient consumer habits with personalized entertainment and information by vacuuming up data on the internet and spitting it out in the form of chatbot copy or images. So far, Wall Street has bet big that AI will be a major economic driver in the future, and AI companies have raised tens of billions of dollars to realize that vision. Notably, major film and TV studios have not yet inked significant deals with AI companies to license their IP to the tech giants' tools that are now used by millions of users. And that marks a different tack from major media companies, which have largely decided to take checks to license content to companies like OpenAI rather than spend millions fighting it in court. Sort of. Right? Like we have seen again, we covered it, the fucking what's her name? Leone. Natasha Leone. Natasha Leone is an AI movie production company, right? Like, and according to the articles that we read, not Natasha Leone, but articles that we read, a lot of people are using AI. They're just doing it like kind of, on the DL. Rick Moranis has retired. Um, that doesn't mean as much when you're an actor, right? It's not like you're a football player where you retire and that's probably the end of your career. You're an actor. You can always come back and do something you might want to do. And I believe Moranis has already come back once or twice. So we love that. What up, Minnie? All Marvel movies should be produced with VO3. I mean, the argument is that, and again, you take this however you want. The idea that, like, here's my movie, right? Here's my screenplay, my script, all my storyboard. This is what I want to do. All right, well, that's going to cost, if we do it with traditional tools, this is going to cost $100 million to make or more, right? And we're not going to give you $100 million because your story is a little too niche for $100 million. And then you can use AI tools to get it done for $50 million. Oh, well, okay, we'll greenlight you for $50 million. So more stories could be told, right? That's the key. And eventually, you're at the point where individuals can make their own stories without spending much money at all. Which means more stories are being told. And that's what I'm in favor of. I don't care if some of them are slop. I don't care if they are garbage. Right? There's a lot of movies made by human beings which are hot garbage. And I don't care. Right? I might not like it, but I'm glad it exists. Up T1, he better stay retired if he knows what's good for him. Ben, talking about the board game stream. I'm gonna try to do the board game stream next week. I'm just figuring out how all my schedule is going to shake out for next week. Board game stream, I am now up to 20 videos in the gaming folder. So we have a bunch of content. I can show y'all some things. And I could do it in a way that isn't too like niche and boring, right? So I think I have a good idea and a good flow for it. And we should all have a good time. And y'all should show up, and I'll let you know when that's going to be. Lopez versus Stampy in a game of Monopoly. Monopoly is one of the worst games ever made, and no one should play it. Unless you want to, unless it makes you happy, and in which case, have at it. Have at it, big guy. The complaint from Disney and Universal details how Midjourney's tools easily allow users to create image-based works based on the intellectual property of Disney and Universal. Think Darth Vader or Shrek at the beach. This is commonly called AI slop. And many likely already see it in their social media feeds. I mean, I'm not going to debate a person's fucking opinion on what AI slop is. If a Mid-Journey subscriber submits a simple text prompt requesting an image of the character Darth Vader in a particular setting or doing a particular action, Midjourney obliges by generating and displaying a high-quality, downloadable image featuring Disney's copyrighted Darth Vader character. And what's your point? What up, Senator? Remember when Amazon blew the fuck up and retailers didn't immediately pivot and jump on board with the digital storefront? This is how the film industry feels right now. Like, oh shit, this is working and we are hurting from it. To an extent, yes, but also no. right? Like, because here's the thing. Let's say that I make um, let's say that I use VO3 and some time and effort and I do a really good job. Um, and I make a little Star Wars movie, right? Is that actually a Star Wars movie beyond all the hundreds and thousands of fan films that you can find already exist made by people on YouTube? It is not. Is it competing with Star Wars in the marketplace? Or any reasonable person, in my opinion, would say no, of course not, right? Is it in the theater where I can see it and it's booming and explosions and everything else? No, I'm watching it on YouTube, right? And it's cool. I might enjoy it, but it's not in competition with you. And people have been using tools like the AI pencil to do exactly that, like to create Shrek and Darth Vader at the beach because it entertains them to do so. Right? Beeple. Who remembers Beeple? People who got a bunch of people to buy his NFTs and like said, "Deuces, I'm out." Right? People made shit like this. Is this in competition with the fucking with the mouse? Right? Oh no, here's fucking Grogu, right? Here's whatever the hell this is. You know what I mean? It's like, does this compete with Star Wars? No. Again, I don't think any reasonable person would feel that way. However, lawyers are not known to be reasonable people. I don't think slop is as bad of an issue so long as it isn't used for authoritarian ends. Yeah, well that's the other end of the issue, right? Like if I made a slop video showing LA burning up from mass protests, all the Facebook boomers would believe it. Yeah, but that's a deeper problem, Minnie, right? Like we're talking about and that like again, before when did QAnon come around? When did the pandemic come around? When did um friggin' 9/11 truthers come around? Like all of that shit existed, before the current state of AI, which we're pinning to a time beginning in 2022. So under those the under those conditions, it's like this is a problem with how we have collectively in the aggregate allowed misinformation to exist and perpetuate. Can AI be used to do misinformation and perpetuate it? Sure. But obviously other things can also be used in that, right? Picture plus words is my favorite. It's the easiest one to do. Take a picture of anything, write some words next to it, and fucking half of Facebook will believe what they're seeing is real. Fucking Ted Cruz just did one of those the other day, right? Here's a burning cop car. Oh, sorry, Ted, that's actually from 2020. Like, did Ted Cruz not know that it didn't matter whether or not it did? It served his agenda, which was to create scary LA propaganda, right? In the point of Monopoly that's horrible. I mean, yeah, that's the subtext. The original Georgism. Yeah, you know. Um, do do do. It improves on Star Wars, clearly. My favorite media critic on Facebook. What up, Tinker? That jump scared me. I think knockoffs can encourage engagement with the original P. This is the piracy argument, right? Like that people's going back to music, right? That was the big thing. But the data all supported that when you pirated music, you were in fact more likely to purchase that music if it was any good, right? We live in a world with not enough demos, right? James talking about the video games, and I'm fully on board with the demo kind of based
We are
system.
aboard.
Yo,
Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile.
what up, Raiders? What up, Prof? Take care, homie. Y'all should be following Professor EXP. They're one of my favorite sociologists on Twitch. And I can be found hanging out there sometimes. Yeah, they're pretty great. What was I saying? Oh, demos, right? Free trial. Right? And let me try your shit. If it's any good, you should have no problem giving me a free trial. And then if I like it, then I get the full thing. What's wrong with that? Anyways, lawsuit. What else we got? Shift gears. Let's see what this is. There's a bunch of stuff that's going around, and I feel like I have to address it. ChatGPT absolutely wrecked at chess by Atari 2600 console from 1977. Atari's humble 8-bit engine just did its thing. And this is Futurism, who is decidedly AI skeptic, right? Despite all its advances, ChatGPT is seemingly still less smart, at certain tasks at least, than an Atari game console from almost 50 years ago. In a post on LinkedIn, Citrix software engineer Robert Caruso explained how the OpenAI chatbot got absolutely wrecked by an Atari 2600 running Atari Chess, a game for the system released in 1979 when Jimmy Carter was still president. Launched in 1977, the Atari 2600, also marketed at the time as the Atari Video Computer System, popularized at-home gaming after Atari released its Pong console 2 years prior. Still, the system was released some 21 years after the Maniac 1 supercomputer became the first machine in history to defeat a human at modified chess, whatever that is. So you'd think that after another few decades, our cutting-edge tech would destroy the primordial Atari. Tinker, Hobie. Apparently that wasn't the case. ChatGPT got absolutely wrecked on the beginner level, Caruso wrote. This was after a conversation we had regarding the history of AI in chess, which led to it volunteering to play Atari chess. Okay. Again, Pharaoh, please submit the form that I would like to see Robert Caruso's prompt. It wanted to find out how quickly it could beat a game that only thinks 1 to 2 moves ahead. Although the chatbot had been given a baseline board to learn the game and identify pieces, it kept mixing up rooks and bishops, misread moves, and repeatedly lost track of where its pieces were. To make matters worse, as Caruso explained, ChatGPT also blamed Atari's icons for being too abstract to recognize. But when he switched the game over to standard notation, it didn't perform any better. For an hour and a half, ChatGPT made enough blunders to get laughed out of a third grade chess club while insisting over and over again that it would win if we just started over, Caruso noted. And yes, it's kind of creepy, is it, that the chatbot apparently referred to itself and the human it was interfacing with as we. Is that creepy? Is that creepy? Meanwhile, Atari's humble 8-bit engine just did its thing. No language model, no flash, just brute force board evaluation and 1977 stubbornness. Unfortunately, we don't have any video of Caruso's gameplay setup to watch ChatGPT get destroyed by a nearly 50-year-old AI, but at least we get to laugh at the idea of the chatbot's lack of gaming prowess. Yes, exactly. Watch my birdfish. Now, this is interesting because when I skimmed this article, initially, it said something about it wasn't actually using an Atari 2600. It was using an emulator. Now, I don't know barely anything about gaming emulation. I don't know if there's any effect on this alleged scenario with using an emulator on a modern computer versus an actual Atari 2600. Feasibly, conceivably, you could in fact do this, right? Like you could just put the I could hook up an Atari to my my capture card, right? And play it which is a wild thing to think about. I'm gonna hook this Atari with its little 2-prong RF adapter designed to go on the back of a television from the 1970s, and I'm gonna finagle a way to hook it up to a capture card. And then play it in such a way that I know at least Gemini. I'm not sure what ChatGPT's current state of the art is on the thing, but I can go to what is it? The Google AI Studio. I was talking about you, not to you, Google. Right? This is Google AI Studio, aistudio.google.com. I click stream, and I click share screen here, and then I'm not going to do it, but I could show Google my screen, and it could respond, and it's about a 10-minute process. Now, I know with Gemini, I could run that scenario, and we could see whether or not Gemini could beat the Atari 2600 at Atari Chess. So again, I really want to see what you actually did as opposed to what you're telling me you did. Right? What's next? All right, grain of salt, obviously, in the same way that anyone who is an AI skeptic, I'm using the more neutral term, anyone who is an AI skeptic is their numbers regarding water usage need to be like taken with a grain of salt, because they're probably using information which may not in fact be accurate. This is Sam Altman talking about how much water is used by ChatGPT. We also take that with a grain of salt, because he obviously has skin in this particular game and therefore is not necessarily an objective source, right? Sam Altman claims on an average ChatGPT query uses roughly 1/15 of a teaspoon of water. Altman shared the unsourced statistic in a new blog post, and that's why we have to take it with a grain of salt. Show me your shit. Where's that, Tinker? OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, in a blog post published Tuesday, says an average ChatGPT query uses about 0.000085 gallons of water, or roughly a 1/15 of a teaspoon. He made the claim as part of a broader post on his predictions about how AI will change the world. People are often curious about how much energy a ChatGPT query uses. The average query uses about 0.34 watt hours, about what an oven would use in a little over 1 second, or a high efficiency light bulb would use in a couple of minutes. He also argues that the cost of intelligence should eventually converge to near the cost of electricity. OpenAI didn't immediately respond to a request for comment about how Altman came to those figures. Right? So, could be true, could be bullshit. Sometimes maybe true, sometimes maybe shit. Today, as my good friend and longtime compatriot Ed Zitron puts it, the AI job loss con, Google offers buyouts to more workers amid AI-driven tech upheaval and antitrust uncertainty. And obviously, what up, Barkeeter J? Obviously, the AP is in on the, the AI con, right? They're obviously in some way going to benefit from the lie that AI is any good and it actually does stuff, etc., etc. What is this? Because the lines aren't straight. Every time I see lines that aren't straight, I automatically assume that the image is AI. But this is a photo from 2019. Allegedly. Google has offered buyouts to another swath of its workforce across several key divisions in a fresh round of cost cutting, coming ahead of a court decision that could order a breakup of its internet empire. The Mountain View, California company confirmed the streamlining that was reported by several news outlets. What up, Femvox fan? It's not clear how many employees are affected, but the offers were made to staff in Google's search, advertising, research, and engineering units, according to the Wall Street Journal. Also involved in the AI con. Google employs most of the nearly 186,000 workers on the worldwide payroll of its parent company, Alphabet. Earlier this year, some of our teams introduced a voluntary exit program with severance for US-based Googlers. I am a Googler. They are not Googlers. Unless all they do all day is Google, they are not Googlers. I am a Googler because I Google stuff. And I'll die on this hill. I don't care. And several more are now offering the program to support our important work ahead. We shall see. We shall see. No. We're streamlining our sailboat by throwing certain members of the crew overboard, Barkeeter J. That is because the machine itself is staying, right? The sailboat itself continues to sail. They aren't really tearing any parts of that out, but they are throwing, like the guy who, runs the wheel, he'll probably stay. But the dude who pulls that rope that causes the sail to go this way to that way, he might take a severance package. Fucking nerds, dude. This image. Show me the image. Oh, you cut out the one dude. That was rude. Where was he? Just they always take these images to make we're gonna drop the most fire rap album or emo. This is emo. The most fire emo album of fucking 2013. This AI company wants to take your job. Mechanize, a San Francisco startup, is building artificial intelligence tools to automate white collar jobs as fast as possible. Kevin Roos, that marketing intern, as Ed Zitron put it. Fucking Ed is such a dick. Years ago, when I started writing about Silicon Valley's efforts to replace workers with artificial intelligence, most tech executives had at least the decency to lie about it. Yeah, that's the problem, though, Kevin. Right? We're not automating workers, we're augmenting them. The executives would tell me our AI tools won't destroy jobs, they'll be helpful assistants that will free workers from mundane drudgery. This lie, this horseshit that has been pumped out is part of the problem of why certain people can't come to terms with the fact that these tools are going to replace vast amounts of workers. Right? Again, they don't even have to be as Ed, my man Ed, very precisely put it. He wants to see an AI capable of taking over the entire job of a person, and don't talk to him about customer service. When in actuality, again, if I have 10 workers and AI can do 20% of their job, I now have 8 workers, right? Assuming that increased production doesn't provide value greater than the salaries of those 2 workers that I let go, right? There is some balance there. But generally speaking, as evidenced by, I don't know, shit going on at Meta and Amazon and Google and every other fucking place, it appears they're down with shaving off a certain amount of those workers because AI can do their tasks. And that's why Ed Zitron is full of shit and shouldn't be listened to by adults. Of course, lines like those, which were often intended to reassure nervous workers and give cover to corporate automation plans, said more about the limitations of the technology than the motives of the executives. Back then, AI simply wasn't good enough to automate most jobs, and it certainly wasn't capable of replacing college-educated workers in white-collar industries like tech, consulting, and finance. That is starting to change. Some of today's AI systems can write software, produce detailed research reports, and solve complex math and science problems. Here's an example, right? I told y'all, if you were here at the beginning, I talked about how the the interview I went on was done in the bar format. I had Gemini, go ahead and create me a little breakdown of what the hell all that means. And then in turn, I fed this into Notebook LM to create a podcast about, right? And so I got the general idea of what the bar framework is, right? And just to explain real super quick, background, the initial component requires the candidate to set the stage. Action, this is the core of the story where the candidate details the steps you and your team took to solve the problem. And result, this is the final section, focuses on the consequences of your actions. Right? So I didn't know what this was. Dude said, we do it in the bar format. And I was like, okay, I will use my tools. And this was something. I had my folder, right? And even though I had sent them 2 separate copies of my resume, I had just watched over at Paradigms, The Whitest Kids You Know, do an interview bit, and dude did not bring a copy of his resume to the job interview. So I brought a copy of my resume to the job interview because I ain't going out like that. And then I also brought a printed out copy of this so that I could show what I had done in response to this thing I didn't know about, right? That to me spoke of a candidate that I might want to have at my company, right? You gave me a problem with very open-ended, vague kind of things, and I got the info, and I learned about the thing, and I did that on my own, etc., etc. Hey, milestone 4, whatever the hell that means. Thank you to everybody who comboed up. So yeah. Newer AI agents are capable of carrying out long sequences of tasks and checking their own work, the way a human would. And while these systems still fall short of humans in many cases, some experts are worried that a recent uptick in unemployment for college graduates is a sign that companies are already using AI as a substitute for some entry-level workers. On Thursday, I got a glimpse of a post-labor future at an event held in San Francisco by Mechanize, a new AI startup that has an audacious goal of automating all jobs. Yours, mine, those of our doctors and lawyers, the people who write our software, design our buildings, and care for our children. Our goal is to fully automate work. We want to get to a fully automated economy and make that happen as fast as possible. Background, number of startups. Mechanize's approach to automating jobs using AI is focused on a technique known as reinforcement learning. We know what that is. What else you got, Kevin? I want to do it. And this is them. And their symbol is apparently a little gear. So they're giving praise to the Omnissiah. To automate software engineering, for example, Mechanize is building a training environment that resembles the computer a software engineer would use. A virtual machine outfitted with an email inbox, a Slack account, some coding tools, and a web browser. An AI system is asked to accomplish a task using these tools. If it succeeds, it gets a reward. If it fails, it gets a penalty. Then it tries again. With enough trial and error, if the simulation was well designed, the AI should eventually learn to do what a human engineer does. It's effectively like creating a very boring video game. Mechanize is starting with computer programming, an occupation where reinforcement learning has already shown some promise. But it hopes the same strategy could be used to automate jobs in many other white-collar fields. We'll only truly know we've succeeded once we've created AI systems capable of taking on nearly every responsibility a human could carry out on a computer. And by doing computer programming first, this is the holy grail of reciprocal improvement, right? The idea that if I can teach an AI to code and do it well, that it could potentially create a better AI with which to code and do it well, and round we go. Reciprocal. It's a great word. Nobody uses this word. Globus says the best Trump. Doesn't sound anything like Trump, but the beats are there. You know who I'm doing. Great. It's the best. People are saying. I decided to lean into doing a bad Trump. Since I'm not improving, I'm doing a good Trump. Oh, so yeah. Mr. Bezaroglu said he believed that AI would eventually create radical abundance and wealth that could be redistributed to laid off workers in the form of universal basic income that would allow them to maintain a high living standard. But like many AI companies working on a labor replacing technology, Mechanize has no novel policy proposals to help smooth the transition to an AI driven economy, no brilliant ideas about expanding the social safety net or retraining workers for new jobs, only a goal of making the current jobs obsolete as quickly as possible. And to be fair, it's not their fucking job to figure that shit out. It's the job of our elected leadership. Best Trump of the day so far? Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. James, are you covering what happened in the House yesterday? Because if y'all haven't seen it, I hope James is covering it. Because holy shit. Oh, yes. Very screaming goat. Very marmot. Very, very marmot. Another from Futurism. College says every student is now required to use AI. It's not cheating, it's AI fluency. And you say that like it's not AI fluency. Forget the debate about whether AI has a place in education. The Ohio State University went ahead and announced that starting this fall, every single one of its students will be forced to use AI in class. We hope your eyeballs are nice and lubricated, because prepare for them to do some major rolling, courtesy of this zinger by the institution's executive vice president and provost, Ravi Bellamkonda. Right? Totally fair and balanced and obvious. There's no bias in this article, right? We can tell. It's definitely like they're observing the data, and then they're going to present you with the facts of the situation. They're not going to editorialize. I am being very sarcastic if it's not coming through. Through AI fluency, the Ohio State students will be bilingual, fluent in both their major field of study and the application of AI in that area. Can't imagine why you would want that going into the future. Nice. Grounded with a strong sense of responsibility and possibility, we will prepare Ohio State students to harness the power of AI and to lead in shaping its future of their area of study. You heard that right. Ohio State isn't capitulating to the tech industry. Did Ed Zitron write this? It's benevolently teaching AI fluency to prepare its bright eyed pupils for a world in which typing, "Can you do my homework, please?" into ChatGPT is somehow an indication of resourcefulness. Obviously, this is a fair and balanced take. I wonder how unprecedented it is. It's very everything is very unprecedented, but we haven't run into it yet. That doesn't count. The writing has been on the wall for a while now. LLMs have become increasingly popular with lazy students. Tinker, why are you such a lazy student? Much to the chagrin of their professors, if they aren't using chatbots themselves. And many universities have already partnered with tech firms to integrate the latest AI tools. Duke University, for example, began offering unlimited ChatGPT access to students, along with its own Duke GPT tool. Students are supposedly pretty enthused that they're being given the green light to use AI in class. We wonder why. I don't know. I don't think you do wonder why. I think you are confirmation biasing why. A student walked up to me after turning in the first batch of AI assisted papers and thanked me for such a fun assignment. And then when I graded them and found a lot of really creative ideas, my favorite one is still a paper on karma and the practice of returning shopping carts. Okay, that sounds great. This is Stephen Brown, and they teach philosophy. So it sounds like a student used the AI and it helped them create a paper on karma and the practice of returning shopping carts, which I think is a grand thing. I think I will judge you, right? I'm not a judgy person, but I will judge you on whether or not you return the shopping cart. And it's not judging you like I am superior. It's judging you in that I understand what kind of person you are. Right? You can't be bothered. It's a social activity to return the shopping cart, and you can't be bothered. And that's fine. Right? And there's a space, right? Like we allow for the percentage of like this is actually an older person that they are, they're just out of energy, right? After they get the car loaded up, a certain percentage of those carts that are left behind, we allow that they are for people who just might not be able to do it anymore, or like allow some room for this is someone they put their kid in the car seat in the car and they're just they don't want to walk that far away from the car with their kid in it, etc. Right? Like we allow for a certain percentage of that type of behavior. The majority of the people who don't bring their shopping cart back are not those people. They just can't be bothered. By his own admission, Brown encourages students to write papers using AI however they'd like, including an exercise using AI to create platonic dialogues between two people taking opposite viewpoints on a controversial topic, which helps them understand how intelligent and thoughtful parties might disagree about that issue. Brown added that banning AI in class is short-sighted. It would be a disaster for our students to have no idea how to effectively use one of the most powerful tools that humanity has ever created. AI is such a powerful tool for self-education that we must rapidly adapt our pedagogy or be left in the dust. That is an incredible claim to make because AI with crime bunnies, because futurism doesn't believe it's actually artificial intelligence. A catch-all marketing buzzword, let's not forget, is still plagued, I tell you, by factual hallucinations. As in, the tool that Brown is having his students learn stuff with gets the facts wrong all the time, lacking the expertise in a particular field that someone like Brown has. The tech's rapid adoption also means there's little long-term evidence of its benefits in education, Whereas there's plenty of worrying signs to the contrary, with multiple studies linking ChatGPT's use with plummeting grades, memory loss, and diminished critical thinking skills. So, like, this is what really fucking irritates me about people, is you will set up that there is little long-term evidence of its benefits to education. True. Right? We don't really know. Right? We don't have enough data. It hasn't been long enough. That's a fair assessment. But then you flip it, and somehow there is enough long-term evidence to conclude that it's linked to plummeting grades, memory loss, and diminished critical thinking skills. Right? This is intellectually dishonest. And I find that offensive. Because then you're not doing education, you're doing propaganda. And then just say you're doing propaganda. Don't try to pretend that you're doing news. Right? You're and I understand there are critiques of futurism, and I understand that futurism is more of like a pop science website as opposed to an actual news website. Still, I find it offensive. Who wrote this? Frank Landymore. There he is. Totally not Ed Zitron. Another participant in the AI scam, the AI con, Harvard Business Review. What up, Walking Stick? My problem is that there are lots of older tech tools that students don't know how to use. Sure. There is, and this is a question. This is a legitimate question. And I don't shy away from this question. Like Tinker earlier was talking in the article about the the Atari versus ChatGPT, this idea of, the abacus, right? Like, for a lot of you, I assume, you in school were told you're never going to have a calculator in your pocket, and that's why you need to learn to do the math, right? And turns out that we actually did end up with a calculator in our pocket all the time. And I don't blame the teachers of the time, because they could have no way of predicting that. And there is some value in knowing math fundamental, right? Like to do quick maths, right? I'm not against the idea. But none of you, very few of you, I assume. I'm I'm confident that if I say none of you, at least one of you go, I use an abacus all the time. But most of you probably don't know how to use an abacus, right? It's just a bunch of beads on rods, and you don't understand. Because I don't, right? Like, I understand, I know that it has to do with sliding them in different ways, but I don't know exactly how to use an abacus, mental math for estimation, yes, to a certain extent, right? Like, again, the idea of quick maths. It doesn't hurt to be able to do some quick maths in your head. My father used to have this abacus, and I used to drive it like a truck. So there are skills that maybe we should hold on to. And there are skills that maybe we can let go to technology, right? None of you, very few of you, I assume, grow your own food, right? Especially very few of you grow your own food at a sustainable level, right? Like where you grow all your own food. And that's because we have been able to offload a bunch of that behavior to technology, right? Someone else is going to grow the food, and then we're going to ship it to another place, and I'm going to go to that place and buy the stuff. I am going to go to the place and buy the stuff and then bring it home. And then depending on where you fall in the category of your skills related to like food preparation, you might have even offloaded your food preparation to that technology, right? Like, I'm not going to make my own sauce. I'm going to get a sauce in a jar. I'm not going to make my own pasta. I'm going to buy pasta in a box, right? Like, any number of these things are, and I think it's good to make your own sauce. It can be cheaper if you do it, like, if you can plan it properly and you can get good deals and everything else. Generally it does taste better. But also that jar, pop, pour, heat, done. And I get that too, right? Like, there is a balance there. I was thinking of words to do the outlining and sticky note boards to organize thoughts. That's the thing. My wife's creative facilitations, she's a huge fan of sticky notes, like mad, right? And that is like one of the places I think having some AR glasses would could be very helpful, right? Because as cool as it is to have sticky notes, you're one-shotting paper, right? Like in that kind of thing. Like, once you have this piece of paper and you've done the thing and you've done the whatever, like, a lot of that paper is going to end up in the garbage, right? And it might be recycled, but it's, the sticky note paper is colored, and I don't know what effect that has on making paper. Do you got to bleach it, etc., etc.? You know where I'm going, with that kind of stuff. But having some AR glasses where I can have virtual sticky notes, right, that are saved into like another file, and I can just open that file up and I can preserve those sticky notes forever in a digital format. That sounds great to me. You know what I mean? We are regressing to making our own stuff. Depends on who you are. What would be fantastic is if we had AI blenders, food processors, and could ask for ingredients needed for X, and then we put it in and boom. Yes, that'd be cool. Yeah, but this is, I'm specifically talking about augmented reality glasses, right? So that I can see them not on a computer screen. You know what I mean? That is what I'm talking about there. Where the fuck was I? I was somewhere. Harvard Business Review. How AI is redefining managerial roads. You are here. It is now. Thank you, Senator. Like, for me, if I'm going to make a sauce, just to comment on the I disagree. I think you like sofrito, right? Like making your own sofrito, which is the onions, carrots, and celery, which is the basis of any red sauce. At least I'm given to understand that that is the case from Italian chefs on the internet. That's it, like doing that. And then I don't use a canned sauce at all if I'm making my own sauce, right? Like, not even a can. I will use canned tomatoes you know, depending on the cost, right? Like it's a volume thing as much as anything else, but I have absolutely gotten a bunch of what are they called? The little chubby kind of oval shaped tomatoes. The name escapes me at the moment. Um but those are really good for making sauce with, and like if you can get a good deal on them, Romas. Thank you, Romas. Um, if I go to what up, Becca? The blasphemy. If I were able to go to a farmer's market, right, like where and get a good deal on those tomatoes, and it was cheaper to buy those tomatoes than it was to buy the canned tomatoes, then I would absolutely do that. But I need a bunch of factors to align in order for that to be an effective alternative, right? So, often using canned tomatoes, and like I'm even looking at potentially making my own what you call it, the tomato paste, right? Yeah. Yeah. Like I have the tools, it's do I have the time and the money in order to get the tomatoes and everything else, and how cost effective, because it's important to balance out what you're spending where, right? Like that's, it's, yeah. Are there fucking some amazing coffees that I could get and they are free trade and they're from, some fucking amazing site of some fucking mountain, and the coffee is absolutely amazing, but it costs like $100 a pound? Or I can get a fucking container like this of some Folgers shit, and well, not Folgers, what am other one? Maxwell House shit, and I can get that for like $10. I'm getting the big container because I need the caffeine delivery vehicle, right? That's what I need, and I also need to spill some coffee. I missed my keyboard though. I hit the little keyboard table, but I missed my cable. I don't know how I ever followed this channel, let alone subscribe. What is wrong with me? Do you not love me anymore, T minus? Have I offended you? My keyboard is suffering enough. It's got RGB. It doesn't change, but it's got LEDs in it. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this one. What up, Cost? Is there anything particularly interesting that I want to cover in the next 9 minutes? I'm gonna cut this. I'll just move this down here. I think we should get to that another time. Huawei chip. Huawei's chips are one generation behind, says US, but firm finding workarounds, CEO says. The rate at which AI is growing is staggering to me. It should be. It should be. That means you're aware of what it's doing, as opposed to pretending that it's not happening. Beijing. Huawei Technologies chips are one generation behind those of the U.S. peers, but the firm is finding ways to improve performance through methods such as cluster computing. Chinese state media quoted CEO Ren Zhengfei as saying on Tuesday. It's a real easy way to figure out if your country is communist, is to see if you have CEOs and billionaires. Because if you do, then you're probably doing communism. The chip maker invests 180 billion yuan or 25.07 billion in research annually and sees promise in compound chips made from multiple elements. Ren said in an interview with the People's Daily newspaper of the governing Communist Party. They are totally communist, believe me. There is no need to worry about the chip problem, Ren said, addressing concerns stemming from U.S. export controls. The article, published on the front page of the newspaper, comes as top U.S. and Chinese officials are set to resume trade talks for a second day in London, where topics such as U.S. tech restrictions on China are expected to be discussed. Our single chip is still behind the U.S. by a generation. We use mathematics to supplement physics, non-Moore's law to supplement Moore's law, and cluster computing to supplement single chips, and the result can also achieve practical conditions. Software is not a bottleneck for us, he said. So that's neat. I have given multiple AIs the complicated task of building a home network from scratch using specified hardware constraints. Over the past year, it has taken less and less time to solve the issue. That's great. That you set your own benchmark, and it's a practical benchmark, and I assume it's a benchmark that you understand. So therefore, you can totally understand what's going on and really judge it apples to apples. Last year took a week or so of tuning. I had a near perfect manual in less than 6 hours last week. That's great, Cos. That's great. Well, we got 5 minutes. I got 5 on it. It is. I'm going to put this article behind a paywall because I'm cool. Because I'm cool. I'm going to put this article behind a paywall because I'm cool. Super cool. Big Tech's AI Endgame. It's a benchmark, right? Like, you're doing science to it, right? Like, that's the key. You did a good job. Big Tech's AI Endgame is coming into focus. One app to rule them all by Mateo Wong. If Google has its way, there will be no search bars, no search terms, no searching, at least not by humans. The very tool that has defined the company and perhaps the entire internet for nearly 3 decades could be overtaken by a chatbot. Last month at its software conference, Google launched AI Mode, the most drastic overhaul to its search engine in the company's history. The feature is different from the AI summaries that already show up in Google's search results, which appear above the usual list of links to outside websites, in case you didn't know what that was. Instead, I don't know. Moving on. Instead, AI Mode functionally replaces Google search with something akin to ChatGPT. You ask a question, and the AI spits out an answer. Instead of sifting through a list of blue links, you can just ask a follow-up. Google has begun rolling out AI Mode to users in the United States as a tab below the search bar, before images, shopping, and the like. The company said it will soon introduce a number of more advanced experimental capabilities to AI Mode, at which point the feature could be able to write a research report in minutes, see through your smartphone's camera to assist with physical tasks such as DIY crafts projects, help book restaurant reservations, make payments. Whether AI Mode can become as advanced and as seamless as Google promises remains far from certain, but the firm appears to be aiming for something like an everything app, a single tool that will be able to do just about everything a person could possibly want to do online, like the communists have over in China. whatever that we something, the everything app that they have. And also what Elon has very clearly on multiple occasions stated that he wants to make. It's only funny when I do it. Seemingly, every major tech company is after the same goal. OpenAI markets ChatGPT, for instance, is able to write code and summarize documents, help shop, produce graphics, and naturally search the web. Elon Musk is notoriously obsessed with the idea of turning X into an everything app. Thank you. Meta says you can use its AI for everything you need. Amazon calls its new generative AI powered Alexa Plus an assistant available to help you anytime you want. Microsoft bills its AI Copilot as a companion for all you do, and Apple has marketed Apple Intelligence and a revamped Siri as tools that will revolutionize how people use their iPhones, which encompasses, for many users, everything. Even Airbnb, once focused simply on vacation rentals, is redesigning itself as a place where you can sell and do almost anything. And unfortunately, that is the end of our time. But there's the rest of the article. I'm relieved the red sauce stuff talk ended, sounding nothing like Pasquale is making sauce. Yeah, it's a whole thing, right? It's a whole thing. Like, you have to understand, the practical difference between feeding your family, right, and making food or feeding yourself, right? Like, let's start there. There's a difference between feeding yourself and making good food, right? Feeding yourself, you're usually just trying to intake calories. Feeding people and making good food usually involves some more thought. And like everything else, it has to do with how much time do you have, what are you trying to accomplish, etc., etc. It's like many things, it's very nuanced. All right. That is going to be it for this morning. I will be back at 5 p.m. Eastern. We have a bunch of video to get to. I'm going to send you over to James as per spec. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, which is already in progress. And in the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you've forgotten. Always remember that Shaggy loves you. So do I. Be great.